So where do we start? We start with our political data analysts that have been working with scripts for years now. And what they do is they are truly responsible for getting in the mind of the voter. So how do we do that? We model all of the forces that impact the mind of the voter. So these circles work like gates in the decision-making process. And it starts with an experience, and that experience could be a voter watching a debate performance, but in this case, we look at it as an experience that a voter has in the way of seeing a political advertisement. So judgment is then formed based on the voter's characteristics and their experiences, and that's where then they develop a perception about the campaign or about the candidate. Through that, then, they also get feedback from other people in way of word of mouth. And one thing that we do when we follow data at MarketPredict is we really look at social media and the word of mouth that is happening surrounding the candidate. And ideally, this then leads to a voter decision. So now it gets really technical, right? Like you have to then put into the model inertia, you have to look at decay of the candidate, what's happening there, and many other model calibrations that make up this whole concentric circles of the voter. We then run this process a couple of million times for each campaign and for each voter. And that is how we start estimating the voter behavior. So when you look at this from a political data analyst perspective, it's very complicated, right? So we are taking the guesswork out for you and all of the work that it takes to get in the mind of a voter in near real time. And we are now introducing MarketPredict. What is MarketPredict? It's live predictive modeling that helps you deliver smart campaigns and convert voters. Live predictive modeling that helps you deliver smart campaign and convert voters. Well, how do we do it in a live environment? First off, a lot of our competitors are really looking at static data about the voter. It may be their political personas, it may be their voter IDs. And where we start at Scripps is we look at voter conversion, not just reach of the voter. So what does that mean? We are now getting in the mind, like we talked about, and modeling all of those forces that would impact the mind of the voter, and we look at media solutions that really convert. We do it in real time, and this is one of our key differentiating differences. So when you look at real time of an election year, such as this year, there's a lot that goes into that real time modeling. We can look at social media, we can look at a huge largest data set of what data is in the marketplace, and that's exactly what we do. And we look at it through paid, earned, and owned media, as well as polling. And so we'll talk a little bit about this in our real live voter panel in a minute. The other thing that we do is we have been in the marketplace with this voter conversion tool for 3 years. And so what we have done is we have applied machine learning or artificial intelligence, which makes our voter modeling smart over time, and it really helps us in the gaps that we have in our data sets. We also look at it from an omnichannel perspective. So what we heard a lot today is either media companies and recommendations surrounding placements are surrounding based on TV or digital, but not a look at them holistically. And what we're able to do is to look across all media, whether it's TV, cable, digital, or even word of mouth and social media. The last couple things is unlike any other data sets too, is we are customizable. And what that means is that you at the campaign sit on a lot of your own data. And we are able to take your proprietary data, ingest it into our proprietary system, and create a smarter data tool that will help you convert voters. And that's something that we really are excited about, and the fact that this last year we made it truly customizable. And we're easy to consume. And so what does that mean for you? It means that we have a lot of political data analysts on our team, but they're not just the Albert Einsteins behind the curtain. We also have a lot of media analysts that sit on our team, and they can take this data and make it convertible for you so that you truly understand how to make it into an actionable media plan. So at the end of the day, we're helping campaigns know when and where and how to pivot in a real-time environment. So what are some of our data inputs that we ingest into our model? I talked a little bit about it earlier. It's the paid, earned, and owned media. So we look at social media. We also look at earned. What are the earned mentions that are happening in the 5, 6, and 11 o'clock newscasts? What are information searches that are being done about candidates or issues? What are our voters most interested in? How were the debate performances? Who won? Who had a leg up? What are campaign events that are happening surrounding the campaign, or even topical tracking? What are the buzzwords surrounding each race? We also look at paid media. So we ingest all the paid media out there that a campaign spends on. That could be television in the way of broadcast, it could be cable, it could be your digital advertising in the way of desktop or mobile display or video. It also could take a look at radio as well. So we put all of these different media categories into the model. What we also do is we also lean in more. So we ingest all of the polls that are out there. We also look at voter turnout. We know that voter turnout is really important because, as we saw in the Virginia gubernatorial race, the voter turnout was up by 20%, and that changed the race of Virginia. But we also look at real live events. Someone just spoke about what happened in Hawaii. Well, in 2016, when we were putting out our voter data, things like Paris bombings came up as a main concern for national security. Next year, what would happen if Florida had a hurricane? How would that impact a Florida gubernatorial race? So all of these live events are very much helping us shape today what is the next race or the next election. And so we'll be leaning heavily into these live events, especially national security and weather events in 2018. The last thing that we do as part of the ingestion is we have live voter panels. And those voter panels are in each of the key states. And what we can do there is we can ask voters opinions about the race. What is it that matters to them? Do they live in a rural part of the state? How are they leaning? Why are they leaning? And that also helps us calibrate our model as the year goes on. And it's a very important piece to have these panels. Does it work? So I talked a little bit about, we started this a few years ago. We've run this in 14 elections, and we've called 13 out of 14 elections right. So where did we use it? We used it in the 2016 presidential elections. We also used it in a lot of the key Senate races in 2016. What was the race that we were off? Everybody asked us, and that was Wisconsin for the presidential, but I don't think that we were alone. But we also used this in the Virginia gubernatorial race this last year, and that's where we really found character and voter turnout were equally important, and we put that into our model. So we've been testing this over the last 3 years, and we've kept it a really good secret. except for our agency partners who have leaned in with us over the past 3 years, who have given us feedback and have worked directly with the campaigns. But we've done an amazing job of predicting the races, even though that's not what we're set up to do. And now we're ready to bring this full kilter, so you'll see press releases and a huge marketing push this year. So who's behind this? We're Scripps. We own a few TV and radio stations. I put up this map because it's kind of ridiculous. But it really does tell of our strong footprint and foothold in the media marketplace in the US. But we also lean in heavily to digital. We have Newsy, which is our video network. It's also our cable network. We also have Midroll, which is the largest podcasting company, and a few other companies such as the Scripps Spelling Bee, live network shows, the list goes on. But a lot of money and resources are being put behind MarketPredict. And who is the team? So meet the MarketPredict team. It is made up of the leading political data analysts, as well as people who have been doing suggestions and actually doing media buying for political campaigns for over 15 years. So today with us, we have Joe Schultz, who can raise his hand. He's one of our political data analysts. We also have Nicole Mead, who's in the room, and Janine Ramondino. And we will be outside sponsoring the coffee break. So if you'd like to lean in and learn about our capabilities and how we can make suggestions on converting voters via your media placements for this year, we'd love to sit down and talk with you. So thanks so much for having us today.